5 years after her husband and daughter are killed in a senseless act of violence, a woman comes back from self-imposed exile to seek revenge against those responsible and the system that let them go free. A man in a car is brutally fought by an unnamed woman, who eventually kills him with a shot to the head. Riley North, the same person, is fighting to make ends meet 5 years earlier while working as a bank teller in Los Angeles. Chris, her spouse, runs a struggling mechanic business. Their daughter, Carly, is 11 years old. Chris's pal tries to persuade him to rob notorious drug lord Diego Garcia. Chris declines him, but not before Garcia has learned of his involvement and has given his men the command to make an example of him. Since no one showed up to Carly's birthday party, Riley and Chris take her out for pizza and to a carnival. Carly purchases peppermint ice cream during the fair. In a drive-by shooting, Diego's men kill her husband and daughter as the family is making their way to the car. Despite being hurt, to celebrate the 10th birthday of their daughter Carly North, Riley North and her husband Chris North traveled to a carnival in Los Angeles. Although Chris declined the invitation to rob the powerful drug lord Diego Garcia, Diego learned of his involvement and instructed his thugs to murder the North family. Riley survives the murders of Chris and Carly, and detectives Stan Carmichael and Moises Beltran catch the murderers. Riley recognizes them, but a dishonest judge frees the offenders on the grounds of insufficient evidence. Riley disappears, and 5 years later, the murderers of Chris and Carly are discovered dead in the carnival. She has now returned to Los Angeles, robbed a gun store, and started pursuing revenge for her family. The film starts out with what appears to be a conflict taking place in a car. A gangster who is being fought by Riley North stabs her leg with his knife. She grabs control and places a revolver beneath his chin. Before blowing his head off, Riley asks him whether he remembers her, to which he simply replies, "Fuck you." Riley retreats to a depressed area where she hides. She gets inside her van and takes care of her leg wound while drinking. A box of Girl Scout cookies slips out as she searches through her possessions. After arguing with Peg, the mother of another Girl Scout, Riley is seen with her daughter Carly. Peg accuses Riley of selling on her territory. Later, Riley and Carly make a pit stop to see Chris, who is Riley's husband and Carly's father. Unbeknownst to Riley, Chris is negotiating a dubious deal with Mickey, one of his co-workers. Even though it is Carly's birthday, Riley is instructed to close her bank when she reports for duty. When Riley returns home for Carly's birthday celebration, she and Chris are disappointed that no one showed up because Peg, who had sarcastically thrown a holiday party and invited all the other kids, only left a voicemail to tease Riley, and Carly had invited all the other kids. They should all attend the Christmas carnival, Riley suggests, because she doesn't want to let Carly stay depressed. Chris calls Mickey as they leave to inform him that he is pulling out of the agreement. The family departs while being observed by a gangbanger. Diego Garcia, the cartel's leader, is called by his boss. Mickey, who was apparently attempting to steal from Garcia with Chris's assistance, is currently being tortured by Garcia. Just before decapitating Mickey, Garcia tells his man to follow Chris. While the North family has a good time at the carnival and finishes the evening with ice cream, 3 gangbangers drive up to Chris and Carly as they are returning to the car and shoot them. Riley is shot as well, but she makes it to her husband and daughter's bodies. Detective Stan Carmichael meets with Riley after Riley awakens in the hospital. He gives Riley the photos she took with Chris and Carly in the photo booth and informs Riley that the suspects have been caught. Riley is utilized to locate the gangbangers. Due to their facial tattoos, she can't identify all 3 of them. Riley later receives a visit from Mr. Henderson, an attorney, who tries to buy Riley out of testifying against the criminals he is representing while she is packing up Chris and Carly's belongings. Riley is taking some medication, which he also notices, but she ejects him from her home. Riley is called to the stand to give evidence against the gangbangers, but Henderson tries to use the medication thing against her by claiming that her memory was foggy or that she was mentally unfit to recall them. Judge James Stevens dismisses Riley's appeal and frees the murderers. When Riley loses her cool and tries to attack the gangbangers, the bailiff tases her, and the murderers laugh in her face. Carmichael jumps into the ambulance to accompany Riley as she is being wheeled away to a mental hospital, but Riley grabs an oxygen tank, hits Carmichael across the head, and then exits the vehicle, dissipating. In the present day, Carmichael meets with his partner, Moises Beltran, as they find the bodies of the three killers hung upside down from a Ferris wheel. After beating Judge Stevens and nailing his hands to the table, Riley goes to his house and ties him up. He is reminded of her, and she warns him that the explosive rope he is bound with is. Stevens is destroyed when Riley detonates the rope before getting on a bus. Riley meets a young child on the bus and gives him a toy that she stole from Stevens' house. She notices the boy's father is drunk. And as they get off the bus, the man enters a liquor store while his son waits outside. Since she saw his ID and remembered his address, Riley pistol whips the man and warns him to never drink alcohol again and to be a good father. The clerk is eventually coerced into giving it to her, but at least she pays him for it. Since it is the 5th anniversary of the murders of Chris and Carly, Carmichael and Beltran meet with fellow detective Inman to discuss their suspicion that Riley is responsible for these killings. Riley committed a bank heist after the trial and stole military-grade weapons from a warehouse before disappearing. Then Carmichael receives a call informing him of Stevens' passing and the discovery of Henderson face down in his pool. They can essentially take this as proof that Riley was involved. Riley kills the two men outside the piñata shop before going inside. Riley kills all the men inside the building except for Marvin during the ensuing firefight. He later reports on what happened to Garcia.
I have questions for you. You're not busy, are you?
And Marvin gets killed for spilling his guts to Riley. Garcia plans for his men to lure Riley to a warehouse in order to get rid of her. She discovers a bomb there and runs for cover just as Garcia's men set off the bomb, destroying the entire structure. Riley escapes through the sewers and steals a vehicle from someone else so she can pursue the men. She manages to catch up with them, kill them, and then drive to Garcia's house. Before Riley reaches Garcia, he kills the majority of the men in the room. Garcia's daughter, who appears to be the same age as Carly was when she passed away, enters the room just as she has her father's gun turned against him. Riley is stabbed in the side by Garcia, who then escapes with his men and daughter. Riley escapes and arrives at Peg's house. She charges in to tend to Peg's injuries after punching her in the face. Riley ties Peg up after reminding her that her husband left her for someone else. Before leaving Peg there, Riley threatens her and even gets her to pee herself. Inman visits the underprivileged area to carry out her investigation there. One of the men tells her that thanks to the angel watching out for them, crime decreased in the neighborhood. Carmichael then meets the woman there. When she is about to realize a police officer department is tipping off Garcia, Carmichael reveals himself to be dirty, and he shoots Inman dead. Carmichael and Garcia have a meet nearby. Riley discovers Inman's body and uses her phone to record a live video that is broadcast on television. Riley calls Carmichael and Garcia out for the scumbags they are as Garcia and his men congregate, and she invites the police and the media to the area. Then Garcia uses a walkie-talkie to summon Riley outside and warns her to come out or he'll kill a young girl from the area. Riley gives up and walks over to Garcia. Just prior to the arrival of the police, he begins to beat Riley. Garcia shoots him dead believing that Carmichael set him up. Garcia tries to run away, but Riley catches up to him as his men are taken into custody. The police are drawing their guns on her as she points her gun at him. Riley is urged by Beltran not to shoot Garcia, and he mocks her by joking that she will serve more time behind bars than he will. Riley shoots him in the head after saying, "We're not going to prison." Riley escapes, but Beltran claims to know her location. Riley is discovered by the police at Chris and Carly's grave in the cemetery. As Beltran draws near, she begins to sob. Riley believes she is prepared to pass away there, but Beltran disagrees. Riley is in the hospital, and the news reports on how civilians see Riley as some kind of heroic vigilante, but the police say she will answer for her crimes. Beltran walks into Riley's room and slips a key into her hand, letting her remove her handcuffs and escape once again. And the movie ends here. Guys, please subscribe in this channel for more videos. Thank you and God bless.